I'm your host, Tiffany Sauders, and this is Scared Confident. I don't know that any of us actually ever imagine a hard time. My nature, at least, is to believe things are always going to be smooth and wonderful. But our nanny of almost 8 years has had some things in her life kind of just accelerate. And on a fairly short notice, she needed to step back from being with our family. And so that left a big hole. We are friends. She's just a part of our family. And we have like a routine together that is like an orchestra. We just really know each other. We know how to help each other. We are such a team. And so that left our home at the end of January. The other is we have another young girl who comes into our home and just kind of helps fill in the cracks. She'll help me drive the girls to practice if JR is traveling, she'll run errands, get birthday presents, kind of help us from that perspective. And she got mono and so needed to step back from being in our home for a few weeks as well. So in about 48 hours, the entire complement of my care for the kids and help in keeping the house running really went away. And so if you have in-home care and you imagine it all like the lights being turned out in 48 hours, you understand the like, holy crap moment, because my days are busy, things are scheduled, and I think it's all happening, and then it's not. And so I kind of went through 3 phases. First was like just, I would say, general denial that this is something I'm going to have to acknowledge. The second process was, I would say, just like some sadness. Again, Mrs. Garcia was just a rich part of our lives and will continue to be, but not having in her home every day has certainly been a change for us. And then the last was like kind of panic. Like, what is going to happen when Monday comes? Because I have a full schedule waiting for me and I have no one coming to help. And I have kids that need to go to school and practice and all of the things that need to happen inside of our home. So I thought I'd share, in retrospect, the process that I went through. We are still in this process of rebuilding things. And I think it's harder actually to talk about stuff when you're still in the middle of it, but I'm going to try to, so that A, I remember, and B, it can be helpful. Like, it's not like, and ta-da, things are perfect. Like, they're not yet. The first thing was my attitude. I needed to I was stressed, and that makes me short. And then I kind of turn into this like martyr in my home about like all the things I need to do. Do you see me doing all the things? And it's like, they do, but they don't need to acknowledge it every time I do something. So I was like, I need to get my attitude right. It was not the kids' fault that this stuff changed. I don't need to bring this like world of stress into the home where they suddenly feel guilty for being alive. Like, that is not a good outcome. And so I was like, you need to check your attitude, Tiffany. You need to like make this as fun as possible. So that was the first thing. I had to get my own head right so that I wasn't just like moping around the house and being a big grumpy cloud. The second one was that I kind of went into triage. I said, I think I'm going to need 4 weeks to kind of rebuild this. That was my first guess. I think I need 4 weeks of space. So the first thing I did was move or cancel anything like not 100% critical that was on my calendar. Like networking meetings, there's some things that could be moved out without there being a lot of consequence to the business or momentum in the work, that kind of stuff. So move or cancel any non-critical things. The second thing that I did is I knew I had a 2-hour window every day when Quincy was sleeping. And so that was going to be my most focused, available time when there's not a baby on the screen. And so all of my most critical things that required me to be on screen, that required me to sort of be, I would say, in more like executive presence, we moved into those 2 hours to the extent it was possible. Not everything was able to go into those 2 hours, but we tried to do that so that I could be present, I could be without a baby, I could be all those kinds of things. And then the third thing, I didn't see this at the beginning. I was like, I got to rebuild all the systems right away. I started to see that was not going to be possible. In a month, I was not going to find the perfect nanny, get them trained, everybody up to speed, and the house running again. And so I realized what I really needed was an interim solution to like patch the holes in the boat so that I could start to get some schedule freedom back, so that I could process more in my day at work and also have the time that I need to like rehire a nanny or somebody in our home. So I did a couple things. One is I reached out to a service that does home management. So it's called My Sherry. Like a lot of things. It's like if you're hiring employees, you can either go out and do your own search or you can hire a staffing agency to go find somebody for you. So My Sherry is essentially a staffing agency. It's not how they explain themselves, but essentially for home managers. So I was able to turn that on way quicker than going through a whole process by myself. The second thing that I did is I reached out to my network and said, hey, do you know of people who have some flexibility and some experience with kids that can come into our home, even if it was 2 half days a week, to try to rebuild at least 3 days a week that I could work a full day over that 4-week period of time. So again, it was like, I think the thing I did that was smart, that is smart, is to admit to myself and everybody around me, I'm not going to be able to be at 100% over this small gap of time where I don't have the support that I normally do at home. And so how do I set expectations so that we're not all in a perpetual state of frustration and irritation with one another? It's temporary. So that's where we're at right now. We're mostly not grumpy. Things are beginning to kind of come back together, but it is kind of a patchwork job. It's not like things are not going to be as they can be for a couple of years. And that's sort of the next stage gate of this is for me to really get clear about where I need support and to do a more formal search process to begin to rebuild that. This is way too much detail likely, but my older 3 are in school and Quincy will be 2 this fall. And so we're looking at sending her to a daycare so that all 4 kids are quote unquote in school, which just relieves our need to have a full-time nanny and have 75% of the kids outside of the house. So that would be a new arrangement for us. We have put our name and a deposit into a spot so that we have that option. But again, it's like, I don't know exactly how it's going to come together, but I've got different things that could frame up so that come summer, the kids are all set and going to camps and doing the things. And then when school starts this fall, we kind of have everything rebuilt and everybody knows what normal looks like. So this is just a window into the imperfect nature of a 2-career home and how there are going to be seasons of transition that are a bit unsettling to everyone, but ignoring that there is impact is not productive. And so I think the thing I've done well in this transition has been really explicit, both at home and at work, about like, this is exactly what's happening. This is a transition we're going through, containing it inside of a amount of time to give myself deadlines to drive at, and to realize an interim solution does not need to be a permanent solution, but it does start to get some more momentum in like the home front flywheel. So I hope this has been helpful. If it feels like there's still a lot of loose ends, it's because that's exactly where we are. There's still a lot of loose ends, but we're making it. One of my favorite movies is Secret Life of Pets. And there's a scene where he's like, how am I doing? How am I doing? I don't even know the names of the characters because those things don't stick in my head. But he's like trying to swim, this dog is. And he's like, well, his friend's like, well, you're not drowning. And that's something. So it feels a little like we're not drowning and that's something, but that's the story. That's where we are, and happy to answer questions if you guys have gone through something similar, or if you have advice for me. I certainly am not the expert on this. I'd love to learn from what you've done, and as your family's transitioned to different stages, how you've made sure that everybody feels like they're really comfortable and secure with where they're at. So what else is on your mind? Text me. 317-350-8921, 317-350-8921. And be sure to follow along on your favorite podcast app. Thanks for listening today.